I look forward to hear your, updates from Eureka Forbes. So, let me start by, asking, since, you have been given a charge in the new role as a digital officer, as well as product officer, right? Late last year in December. So just want to get a quick view from you. What is the roadmap in terms of IT, engineering, or technology in the organization in 2025 and going into 2026?
Sure, Pankaj. So anyway, first, good to meet you here, and thanks for the opportunity to speak with you. I'll just give you a little bit of my background, and then I can then try to address our journey at Eureka Forbes on the digital side, right? So, so basically, I started off my career at P&G. I spent a long time at P&G in a variety of leadership roles, and then I was at Amazon for close to 6 years, leading a bunch of businesses there, where I set up a few categories, and I also had product and tech teams reporting there. And I joined Eureka Forbes a little more than 2 years ago, right? And most recently, I've also now I've moved to the chief business officer role, where I have, of course, the product and engineering teams report to me, but I also have a large part of the business also reporting to me. So that's what I do at Eureka Forbes. And maybe Pankaj, to say the digital story, I'll probably talk a little bit about the overall opportunity and what we're trying to do as Eureka Forbes, and how does digital, because digital is only an enabler, right? It has to then add up to our overall strategy. And how does that digital roadmap, to answer your question, how has that looked over the last 1 year, right? So if I take a step back, the categories that we play in as Eureka Forbes, the primary category, of course, is water purifiers, right? With the AquaGuard brand, which is a trusted brand over 40 years, market leader. We also play in vacuum cleaners, air purifiers, and softeners. These are the other categories that we play in. But a large part of our customer interactions and obviously the business is with the water purifier business. So I'll focus my efforts a little bit more and talk a little bit about that business. Right now, what is unique about the water purifier category? First, of course, the water purifier is a very essential household appliance because it deals with something like drinking water, right? And with water quality going down in a country like ours, water purification becomes super important, right? So what is unique about this category is that it is unlike other durables. It has a large post-sales component, right? It has like a filter. So it's like almost a Gillette blade and razor model, right? Where you need to keep buying blades. It's not a one-time purchase, right? You have to have filters that have to be changed between every 1 to 2 years. So customers will book services. There are multiple interactions of customers post-service, post the sale, right? And therefore, what we need to solve for this kind of a customer base in our context becomes a little bit more unique, right? And therefore, then the digital roadmap will also talk to it. The other context is that, and by the other teams that report to me, so the teams that report to me, just for context to you, is like you said, product and engineering teams. The digital business teams, which include e-commerce, D2C, and so on and so forth. We also have a data science team that we've built, and I'll talk a little bit about that as well. And now the entire aftermarket business also reports into me. So coming back, if you talk about the water purifier category, and therefore, so one nuance, like I said, has multiple service interactions. And how do we therefore simplify and make these customer interactions a pleasure point, right? Versus it being a pain point and having to go through a call center, etc. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. The second context is that historically, this category has not evolved aesthetically compared to the rest of what's there in the kitchen, right? You have your refrigerators, a piano black finish, you have a nice hob, a chimney, but the water purifier traditionally has been this dabba that you hide away somewhere in the kitchen, right? So that's one more context, that how do we therefore change the form factor and also make it even more customer relevant today, right? Today we track steps, we track sleep. So how do we therefore make water purifiers also in some sense smart, right? And talk a little bit about that. The other third nuance about our business is that obviously to service these water purifiers, we have a large feet on street. We have one of the largest service networks in the ecosystem and across industries actually, right? So how do you make sure that this field force is enabled digitally to, because when your water purifier stops at home and your wife is going to call you and say, hey, look, Pankaj, my water band ho gaya, you need to get a service technician. We have to act very fast, right? It's not there is a certain sense of urgency that has to be there, right? So how do we leverage technology to be able to make sure that this field force, which is obviously very large, is also equipped digitally to solve the customer problem, right? So these are some of the context. And now if I talk about our digital journey, right? And when early in the journey, so as you know, the journey of Eureka Forbes is that Advent bought into this company, took a majority stake around 3 years ago. A lot of us joined then. And one of the early realizations is obviously there are different legs to this transformation of the company. But one very important leg is the digital transformation of the company, right? And what are some of the aspects of that is what I'll talk through. And we have made, I think, big strides in the last 1.5 years. Uh, we built a tech team around early last year, in-house, completely in-house tech team and product team. And you would think like for a 40-year-old durable company like Eureka Forbes, would tech really be cutting edge? So I'll talk about what we have done in the last 1 year and some of the impact that we've created, right? So like I said, the first thing is, given the nature of interactions, large number of the interactions used to come through a call center. Almost 75% of interactions used to come through the call center. And both from a cost and experience standpoint, that used to be a big problem, right? So we actually then worked with a top design firm, relaunched our customer app early last year, where all access points for the customer, managing their device, booking complaints, etc., now happen via the app, right? So today, where we are today, what was our 25-75 digital versus call center has flipped, right? Today, more than 80% of our interactions happen through our digital app and website. And that has dramatically improved customer experience for customers. And that's also reflected in the app downloads. We started off at a 300,000 odd app downloads. Today, that number is more than 1.5 million, right? So that has almost gone 5x in this time. And we're getting very good feedback about the app, right? So the first big intervention we did early last year from a roadmap standpoint was revamp the customer app, which is a big interaction point for the customer. Around middle of last year, the next big intervention that we did was relaunch our customer website, right? And why is this important is that, like I said, we play in 3-4 categories, and we have a large database of customers, right? And people who trust this brand. So there's a large opportunity for, let's say, a water purifier customer to buy a vacuum cleaner or a robotic vacuum cleaner or a softener and so on and so forth, right? So we built a new D2C website, again, completely grounds up. And you would be able to see that EurekaForbes.com, which is a completely redesigned website, brought in all the e-commerce capabilities that you would find on an Amazon, Flipkart, bank offers, no cost EMI, exchange. Exchange is a big enabler for us, right? Because people want to upgrade to the new form factors. So, and this went hand in hand with a lot of product innovation that we did. So today, if you look at our devices, it's no more a dabba that we want to hide away. It is actually plush looking devices. There are glass devices. There are IoT enabled, and I'll come to that as a third capability. But the digital roadmap on the second piece that we did was relaunch our customer website, right? And business through our customer website has gone up 5x since we launched that around August of last year. The third thing that we did, which is probably the first in the category, is launched a next gen IoT capability for water purifiers, right? So today we have a smart range of water purifiers where a customer can track the filter life left, right? Customer can track water consumption. You know how much water your family consumed this week versus last week. You can track any errors in the device. There are 22 sensors that are there across the device, which will give you any errors. You can do a device check that you can run remotely. You can track your TDS in, TDS out. So on a going basis, because water now, let's say monsoon is now here, water input has changed. What is your input TDS? Therefore, what is the output TDS, which is what water you're drinking. So this again is actually a first in category intervention. That's the third big uh, digital and technology intervention that we launched around September or last year. We launched the first set of IoT devices. And today now it's a horizontal feature across the board, right? And we've been getting extremely good feedback on IoT. And sorry if I may just finish the last one, and then I'll take some more questions if that works for you. The last part of the roadmap was at this large field force I spoke about. We launched a technician app. So for the last 5, 7 years, they've been using a very old dated app which had very basic functionality. We actually relaunched a new technician app around October, November of last year. So today, all 8,000 plus technicians have moved to the new app, which dramatically simplifies their working. They're able to navigate to customers. They're able to diagnose the customer problem much better. So these are the big four pieces that I would talk about in terms of a roadmap.
You know, wanted to understand in terms of you did mention that a lot of things you are doing in-house. So how large, big is your IT engineering team, the development team, and also in terms of your call center? I'm not sure whether it's done also in-house or it's been outsourced. So can you a little bit throw in terms of the people or the number of people that are working in you know on the digital
Yeah.
business?
Yeah. So on the digital side, Pankaj, we have a product plus tech team of close to 35 odd people in-house, right? And which is a large team for the scale of for a company like ours. We initially experimented with the outsource models, but now we've decided to bring. So we actually have a full stack capability built in-house, back end, front end, app, website, data engineering. And if I then include the data science teams, that's a team of another 7 to 10 people, which is again a new age capability that we've built. I'll talk a little bit about the work that team does, but yeah. So this team of our in-house team itself is a between 30 to 40 member team, which is then augmented by certain outsourced teams for certain specific capabilities. But it's a large in-house team that we have today.
And you know, as you do mention that you know you have a data science team. So when it comes to this emerging technology, how as a company, as an organization, are you leveraging this kind of you know new because overall Eureka Forbes is a traditional kind of business, you know, product driven business. So how you are you know embedding or leveraging new technologies that is helping you grow your business as well as whether it's a customer experience or you know driving your sales, your support system, your service systems.
No, great question. So we built this data science team in-house because of exactly the fact that. So what is unique about us is that we not just have purchase data of more than 15 million customers. We also have the interactions that these customers did. How many people bought an AMC? How many people bought a filter? What is the NPS score that they gave at different interactions, right? And so on and so forth. So we actually have a very holistic view of these customers, right? So we have used AI ML for 3, 4 use cases, and I'll talk about those use cases, right? First is to improve the customer experience, to be able to predict failure moments for customers of the device, and also predict patterns of, let's say somebody had a poor experience, you gave a poor NPS, right? To be able to automatically detect that and make sure that there is a service recovery that happens. The second big use case is because of the fact that you are, let's say, Pankaj is a Eureka Forbes customer who has an AMC and that AMC is expiring. How can I predict whether Pankaj is going to renew his AMC or not, or he's going to churn out, right? So that is a customer lifetime value enhancement where we have built multiple propensity and churn models to be able to predict customer life cycle and improve our customer retention. And also, let's say Pankaj is a satisfied customer. How can you use inputs from here to say Pankaj is satisfied? He loves our water purifier. Can we now pitch him also a robotic vacuum cleaner, right? So let's say we predict that Pankaj is a high propensity and satisfied customer. On the app for you, uniquely a card will come up saying, here's an offer for robotics, right? Uniquely for you, right? So customer lifetime value would be the second use case. The third use case is a lot of ops, supply chain forecasting, right? Both in spare and finished good forecasting. We have used a lot of ML models to be able to better predict, because you can imagine just the number of devices that we have out there into the number of spares. It is a massive uh, data science problem to predict where do we need to keep what spare, right? Because once it's not a small set of portfolio, right? Because we've been selling these purifiers over the last 20, 30 years, and which are still in existence, right? So we'll need to therefore predict. So I would say these are the three big use cases for AI/ML that we have solved for: customer experience improvement and service quality improvement. Second is customer lifetime value and revenue enhancement. And the third is supply chain optimization using AI/ML. Sorry, you're on mute, Pankaj.
Yeah. So also just wanted to touch base on how much are you leveraging cloud in terms of your organization and driving all those applications. How much is cloud playing part so far?
Actually, everything is on cloud. So all of the technology that we've built are new age. We work with Microsoft, so Azure is our cloud partner. I'll give an example, right? The IoT devices that we've launched. Now we've installed a few thousand IoT devices already in the market. Every single data point that, let's say you consume a drink, a bottle, a glass of water, that immediately goes to the cloud. That information is stored in our cloud, and we'll then be able to feed back into your app saying this is the water that's consumed or this is the filter life that is left. And what I can, since Homie is on the call, I'll ask him to share some screenshots of this to you also, of some of these features that leverage the cloud and leverage some of the data that we're generating through some of these digital interventions.
Sure, Niti.
Yeah, no, Pankaj, just him just responding that he will share that with you.
Okay, no problem. Also, I mean, are you going to share now or you want to share it later?
Not
I'm
now.
pulling
I
it
think
out.
post this
I'm pulling
interaction,
it out.
we'll probably
Yeah,
share
post the
reach that
interaction,
to
I'll
you.
share it.
Okay.
Yeah, and what I'll also
And
do, I think maybe Homie, what we should also share is some of the numbers I just spoke about. It might be useful for
Absolutely.
Pankaj as he kind
Sure.
of captures that.
Sure.
also, lastly, I want to understand in terms of, a lot of companies are focusing on ESG initiatives, but again, with the new technologies, digital coming in, you see any coordination that driving or help you in reaching your ESG goals? Are you seeing a scope where new technologies would have a impact, and helping achieve your ESG or get better with the time?
So in our context, Pankaj, one big area that helps play out is our, especially with RO membranes and RO water purifiers. How do we save water, right? I think that's therefore a big way that we impact the environment, right? And our filters save more water per liter of water purified compared to most competition, right? So that's one R&D and product intervention that has been improving. While there is a certain mandate from a BIS standpoint, we obviously over index on that mandate, and our we have a lot of aqua saver propositions through our portfolio, right? Now, how do we bring that online using digital is where, like I spoke about the fact of the IoT piece, right? So we'll be able to also communicate to customers as IoT becomes a horizontal feature saying, dear Pankaj, you have saved 10 liters of water or you've saved 5,000 liters of water in the last 1 year by using an AquaGuard water purifier instead of a local water purifier, right? So that's the way, that's the most real way in our context ESG plays out, because water RO, that's a big concern that some customers have, right? That it wastes a lot of water, right? So how do we therefore communicate that we are significantly better than the local purifier at saving water?
And lastly, you did mention just now that IoT is being seen as a horizontal component. So how much you see IoT in your kind of business, which is very unique. So how much IoT is as a strategy or as a technology you are banking on? How much it's going to take center stage going ahead. From now on.
It will definitely be a very because it, and the reason why we're making it a horizontal capability is exactly that, right? So if you think about broadly our ranges of water purifiers, there is economy, mid, and premium at different price points. So pretty much a large part of this ecosystem, like almost starting all of our mid to premium devices will have a IoT option that customers will avail. And over the next 1 year, we expect IoT therefore to be present in pretty much most models to have an IoT variant, right? And this really helps two ways, right? One is, of course, helps customers because think of it like a water purifier is almost like a car battery. You don't know when it will fail, right? Now we are actually telling you your filter life is coming from 70 to 50 to 30, and you don't wait for that failure moment where you're going to be stuck, right? Second is it helps us predict that failure moment from our side if you are an AMC customer and tell you, Pankaj, we're actually proactively sending a service technician because your water purifier is going to fail, right? So it is something that we are definitely banking on given the nature of our business. and it'll be a capability as we even launch a whole range of IoT products this year. It'll be at multiple price points through our portfolio.
Thank you. With that, we are done. And thanking, I would like to thank you for taking time and sharing the details.